to show you something, Melanie. I don't know if you can see it, but look at Smokey got a mohawk.
What have you done to him, Smokey? It's actually really cool. He looks like he's about to go start his own rock band.
I think he might. Yeah, Alicia keeps going, he's not cool enough for this. And I'm like, let him live. Damn it.
I love the mohawk, but what did they do to the front of his snoot? Where are his schnauzer waffles?
I know, I know. We have to cut them. We have to cut his beard because
Oh,
he gets
you
so
did this.
gross. Yes. Well, not me, his groomer.
Ah,
We have to do it because he's gross.
maybe you should wash that shit.
We're too lazy, so we're
I
like just
can't believe you cut off the most iconic part of your dog.
I
Their
know.
their beard
Yeah.
is kind of their trademark. It's like
It's
if I gave you a crew cut with got your like iconic Montoya hair.
yes, I know. I know. I,
His ghost is
I
gonna
get it.
haunt you forever one day.
I know. I know he's ugly. But that's why we gave him the mohawk, you know?
He looks like he would be on the other team America. He's like,
I know.
motherfuckers.
Yeah. It's less of a mohawk, it's more of a mullet. Yeah,
A
it's
bogan
true.
mullet, my friend. A bogan mullet. You
Yeah.
better watch out. People are gonna think that Smokey is a political representative for who knows what. It's very culty.
Yeah. Smokey's joining up, guys.
Yeah. I have an important question for you.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you rather lose your phone at an important book event or have explosive diarrhea
Just in general, explosive diarrhea
at
or
that at the same
at the
event?
event?
So you've got an important event coming up.
Yeah.
I thought long and hard about this. What is a ultimate quandary?
Oh,
Lose your
that's a
phone,
hard one.
have explosive diarrhea.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to the show. Um, okay, back to more serious things at hand. Okay.
Yeah,
Explosive diarrhea at a book event or lose my phone at the
yeah.
book event.
I think I
Ah.
already know your answer. I'm just looking at your face. I can feel your answer.
What do you think my answer is?
Oh, you're definitely picking explosive diarrhea. You would not be okay losing your phone at an important event. You just wouldn't. You'd be like,
You're
I'll put
right.
up your I was like, why did I even ask this? I know her answer. She'd just be like, I'll just plug it up. I'll just cross these legs.
I would. I would go. If I had to go,
Mm.
I would do it. And I would be like, everybody, I apologize.
Wait,
The
you'd
tummy,
in public? You mean?
100%. And here's my plan. Okay, Melanie, here's what I would do. Because at most events,
Mm.
here's what I'm thinking. Most events, it's a public place, right?
Yep.
So it's a public restroom. I mean, there's stalls here. So
Yeah.
what I would do, here's my game plan. And I'm only going to say this because I've done it before. My game plan would be I would go, I
Mm.
would blow up the bathroom. Okay. And then I would just demolish the bathroom. And when I knew no one would be able to see who it was that did it, like when I knew the coast was clear, I'd wash my hands and I'd run out. And then no one would know it was me. And then they would think whoever came out after,
Mm.
it was
Oh,
them.
that's smart. What if
So
the
yeah.
toilet, you know what? There's no fear like a clogged toilet, am I right? That was the next
Oh,
question. Would you, although this one's a bit obsolete, but another one that prompted this one was, would you rather clog the toilet on a first date or at the first day of a new job?
ooh. That's a tough one because first date, like you don't know how that's gonna go. But if it's a
It
job, like
might
you're
be
there.
for the first date, if it goes poorly, it might be the perfect thing to do.
Yeah, like sorry, I gotta go. So yeah, I would take first date. I would clog that toilet on the first date. What about you?
What if it was at their house,
Oh, that's a tough one.
not a public one
I would
where
hold it.
so same. I was like, that's the thing. For stuff like that, like important, like job, whatever, like meeting someone, I would just hold it as well. But then again, sometimes now we're just talking about poop. Yes,
Yeah,
welcome to the podcast.
of course, of
But like,
course.
there's also that phenomenon of like you were saying, going into Barnes and Noble and you need to take a nice spicy one. All of a sudden, it does happen. It's a
It
real
happens.
phenomenon. I wonder what it
Yes.
is, just like the excitement.
It's like the maybe like yeah, you feel like I'm home so I can poop. And it's something about like the ink and the paper, and you're just like, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah. So you reckon it's an excitement comfort poop, not a stress poop?
Yeah, I would
Or
say. I mean, maybe both, because you're thinking, oh no, there's so many choices, and your stomach's just like, oh, let's go.
let's
I don't.
let's fucking go.
Let's go, baby. Let's release the demons. What about you?
What about the
Okay,
first
at a
question?
bookish event, would you blow it up, or would you
Mm.
rather lose your phone?
Am I gonna find my phone eventually? Or is there the risk that it's
No.
lost forever? Have I just lost it temporarily at the event?
No. You'd
No, it
have to
could be
go
gone.
back. No, you'd notice it when you got home or something,
Yeah.
and you'd like, oh, I have to go back and I have to talk to people and try and
So it's
find it.
safe. It's like it's not,
Okay.
I left it at home, you mean? It's not just like lost forever.
It's lost at the event. And so you have to go around asking people,
Oh
have you seen
shit.
my phone? It's total
Listen,
strangers.
I'm really good at holding a poop, so I'd probably this cloaca is ironclad when it needs to be.
She just
Well, because I used to
puckers
be a
tight.
flight attendant, right? And like you
Oh,
you just cannot always go for various reasons. Like
yeah.
you don't just have the freedom, especially like if we had turbulence and stuff. And like I remember no, like there were flights we did at one point we were doing them out to mining towns. It's for some reason when you fly across the desert, I think because there's no trees or something to break up the wind. That could be fake, but I feel like it sounds real, so let's go with it. It's the heat fluctuations and whatever. There's always a lot of turbulence. So like literally one time we were strapped in for the whole flight from
Wow.
like a mining town to back to Melbourne. So yeah, you got to just like on something like that, and especially
Yeah.
like at that point, you're just like trying to calm the customers. Like the captain would turn it off for a second so people could use the toilet, but like it was bumpy. She was bumpy, and the flight attendants are not going to be the first ones to get it, you know.
That's
So
true.
yeah, she
Wow.
she learned. She learned
She
to
is
just hold
iron
on.
tight. Hold on, baby. Yeah, no. It's funny, like at my mother-in-law's house for some reason. We live across the street from her, thank God.
Yeah.
And so it was one Christmas, and then literally I think it was just a few weeks ago. I don't know if it was the cheese or what, but something like literally something jumped into my body and said, if
Mm.
you don't poop right now, like
You will poo right now.
yeah, like
It's
literally
coming.
it's like it was like hot. It was
This
hot off the
train is
press.
in motion.
Yes. And I just jumped up and I thought, okay, what kind of lie can I like say to get to my house? Because I'm not doing it here because everybody's at the house, right?
Oh, that's orcs.
Yeah. And I wouldn't mind like just blowing up her bathroom, but in her master bedroom, but it has no
Hmm.
door. Her
No.
bathroom is just like exposed to the master bedroom. So I wasn't gonna do that.
So
I
like
wasn't gonna do that.
someone could walk in while you're just like
Yes, I'd be
desperately.
like, oh, hey, just hi.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I just like jumped up and I made an excuse, like, oh, I forgot to check on like the laundry, and I just
Yeah.
left, and I clenched. I was jamming, driving home. I didn't know if I was gonna make it, but I did, thankfully. But
Have you ever not made it?
I've not
Oh,
made
you
it.
look to the left. That means
When it I've peed my pants, but I haven't pooped my pants.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we all
that
know
was a
I
bad
did
one.
on that school trip, so that secret's
Yeah.
but that was not voluntary. I was asleep, okay? And I had salmonella poisoning. But
Yeah, that's bad.
it just felt like these were some important questions that we needed to know, you know?
Sure, 100%. Well, and especially because, we're going to be out and about doing these events. So
That's
we
it.
need to mentally prepare. Like, what am I going to do?
What am I gonna do? And you know what? Events are always the time when like something, like there's just always something that you just do that's different to usual and it
Mm,
winds up fucking up your day. Like using a
yes.
different shampoo and then your hair is sitting like a crest or whatever.
Yes.
Something, or like the shoes are just giving you blisters because you wanted to look hot and you wore new shoes and now you're bleeding in your boots while you smile at this person,
Yes,
There's always.
100%.
Or like you put on undies that were like different to like, and it just giving you chafe, whatever it is, there's always something.
That is real.
So
That
I'm
is
just trying to
very,
prepare
very
you
real.
for Comic-Con. It's this weekend,
Yeah.
right?
It's this weekend. Actually, it's funny because I just like did a post on TikTok just kind of like asking like what shoes should I wear,
Yes.
which you just mentioned because I would love to look really great, but I know
Mm,
it's a lot of walking.
yeah.
So I'd rather just be comfortable. So everybody said either Crocs, which I won't do Crocs.
Please do Crocs.
Yeah.
If
Maybe
anybody
high-heeled
could
Crocs.
make them like trendy, it's you. I feel like
Thank
you
you.
could rock Crocs and just be like, yeah, I'm fucking cool with my
Hey.
Crocs.
I have Crocs. I love
Do
Crocs.
you?
I
Okay, if
do.
you were
I
gonna,
love
are
Crocs.
you a Croc embellisher? Because I don't have Crocs. I
No.
have these little, I basically have Crocs. I have this thing. It's like a slide.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I like that color.
Yeah, it's not, I got it on sale. It's actually Nike, but it was like on sale in a sale bin, and I was like, yes, I'll take it. Because who's gonna pay
Wait, hold on. Time out.
$150?
May I just
Nike, it's Nike, okay? I knew it was one of them. I just wasn't sure which one. Okay. Okay. Now, it
Okay.
might be that Australia just says Nike,
Well,
We
you're
don't.
wrong, Australia. You're wrong. It's Nike. Okay,
Yeah.
so you found that in a sale bin. And
Yeah, but
do you
original
embellish it?
price was like $150. And I was like, who the fuck is paying $150 for this grandpa slide? But it's actually got some nice arch support.
Yes.
But I was gonna
Yes.
say, if you are you a croc embellisher? Because I see some people put little bejangles on them or whatever.
Yeah. Well, sadly, here's the thing. Alicia and I will share our Crocs because, like, when honestly, well, hear
I
me out.
love that.
They're very, very comfortable. They're
Are
so
they?
comfortable. Oh
Are
my
they
God,
as
they're
comfy
so
as okay?
comfortable.
Because maybe I want Crocs. Because listen,
Yes.
I have not had an open-toed shoe that I could walk the dog in like 5 years because my
Oh,
arches hurt.
mhm.
Do I just fucking want the Crocs?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
You
tell
will
me.
you will not even care what you look like. You will by the first time you get a Croc or Crocs
Yeah.
plural, you will have more. More will be coming. So Alicia and I share our Crocs. So I can't really embellish because she is
Mm,
not one, she's
she's
not
not
that
an
girl.
embellishing girl. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do have a heart on one. Um just one shoe, and that was it. Because we swap them like when we go to Disneyland. Whenever I'm walking a
Are they
lot,
your Disney shoes?
yes,
Okay,
baby.
actually, I appreciate this info because I was thinking you were gonna say you just use it on the farm, that you just slip them on to go feed the chooks or whatever. But this is actually the info that I want. So you can walk in Disneyland all day
Yes,
in your Crocs and not have
all day,
problems with your feet.
not all freaking day. And we
Mm,
usually wear tennis shoes with like arch support, blah blah blah.
yeah,
But Crocs have been the one thing we could do all day.
fuck.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to because I've like resorted to like runners, right? Like sneakers, whatever the ones that are for running, but they're not. They look
okay,
like they're for running, but they're walkers, right? I
sure,
walk in
yeah,
them. Maybe
yeah.
some people run in them. I don't know. I walk. And literally, I've just been finding that like if I'm not wearing those, I'm gonna have my knees gonna play up, my arch is gonna hurt. She's showing her age.
Yeah.
But listen, I feel like our mothers grew up in a generation at my mom still wears high heels like regularly.
Hmm.
And like I don't know, are they suffering? Did they just get used to it? Do they just not walk as much? I want to be able to walk a lot. So
Yes.
I when I noticed it was affecting my body wearing shit shoes, I was like, well, fuck. So then you just wear it. And now I'm just like, do I need to get the goddamn Crocs and just
You
wear them
do.
when no one's watching? Can we just like get like Harry Styles wearing Crocs or something so everyone can think it's cool and we just accept it and just give
You
our
just do.
knees and our cloacas the support they need?
You do. You do. It's funny because like the teenagers started wearing Crocs and like
Did
and
they?
even and the slides too. Like they wear shoes that are ugly
Yeah.
and but on purpose in like an
Mm,
ironic way, but then it's
gotcha.
also comfortable.
They're ahead
So,
of the pack. They're ahead of the
yes.
pack because especially at that age, if you like use your true audacity and just do whatever the fuck you want, people have to be impressed by it.
Yeah, it's like the uglier, the cooler.
Yeah.
I don't know why, like how it, but it works. And I'm happy because I like my Crocs. I
Okay.
do.
Listen, I'm gonna
Yes.
have to look into it. I'd
Yeah.
like to hear from our listeners. Please slide into my DMs, leave a comment, whatever. I'd like to know, do
Yeah.
you have experience with Crocs? And is it like daytime Disney wear for you too? Please let me know as a potential customer. I would like to hear the feedback.
Yes. And if you get DMs where they're just talking shit about me and my Crocs, I want to know their names and I want to
What?
know where they live because I'm coming for them.
Why would they talk shit about yours?
My Crocs,
Yeah,
just
but
that I
they
wear Crocs. Don't talk shit about the
mm.
Crocs, guys. And here's what I'm going to say. If you're talking smack about Crocs, it's because you don't have them.
I reckon that's it, eh? Because the people who like have really gone to Croctown, like they're there, they're wearing it to their trip to Disneyland. They're like rocking it at work. They're just like, fuck yous. I know that I am not gonna have like back problems and fucking knee surgeries because I'm wearing this hideous shoe
That's
and I
it.
don't give a fuck. And
I
I
would
I
wear them to
see
the
these
club.
people. Actually, that brings a new question. Were you a
Uh,
clubbing girl back in your day? Like,
yeah.
getting in the club?
You know what's hilarious though? Like right now on TikTok, this I don't know the full backstory, but this girl, a millennial woman, was like, these younger girls don't wear heels anymore, like to the clubs.
Um,
Like, what's up with that? You guys need to be wearing these heels. And of course, she got made fun of for it by
yeah.
the younger generation, of course, as they do.
Mhm.
But then other people were like, "Oh, this is what I was wearing to the club when I was, in the early 2000s." And they're like those terrible, horrendous heels that are like way up here,
Yeah.
impossible. But like we did it. But yeah, no, I loved going to clubs. I
Did you?
loved it. Yes, because I love dancing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Did not love dancing still at that like I didn't grow up like dancing at all. It was very like dancing was like it's not that it was forbidden, although I will say in the early days of my church life, it was definitely frowned upon.
Sure. Sure.
But I think it took me a while to like just loosen up and just I don't know, I think if you grow up a certain way, you have this almost like it's so like you shouldn't just do you know what I mean? Like let
Yeah.
yourself go and it looks so stupid and people become so self-conscious about it that they do look stupid when they dance.
Hmm.
Whereas
That's
now,
it.
I don't like, I tried to just, well, mostly I just dance at home with Goose, to be
Yeah.
fair, and the
Yeah.
occasional wedding when I've had, a couple wines. But I don't know, you reach a point where you don't care and you just like feel the music in your body. And I like to dance like that now, but it took me a long time to get there.
To
That
feel
like
it.
self-consciousness of like how I'm gonna look when I'm dancing and like,
Yeah.
and so then you move your body really awkwardly because you're like trying to dance. Now I just like
Mm,
do whatever the fuck I want to the music and just be crazy.
yes.
And I
Just
realized that's
live
what's
in it.
fun. Yeah, you have to not care. You have to wear your Crocs and shine on the dance floor.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. No, dude, if I had my Crocs on while I was in the clubs, like I would have torn a hole in the floor. I would
You
have been
would.
out there flipping. Oh yeah. And honestly, like I never went to try and like meet guys or anything
Yeah,
like that.
same.
Like I just went with my girlfriends
Yeah,
because we wanted to dance. And like if
100%.
anybody even came near, it was like dirty looks, like stay back.
Mm,
This is for the girls. And like
yeah.
my favorite clubs were like the gay clubs because
Yeah,
we
you
were
feel
just
safe.
all hanging. Like it was just the
Yeah,
best. So,
I love that. Do you have like a
mhm.
favorite like club memory?
Huh.
Or like, did you ever have
Uh,
to toss your drink on someone or something? I don't know.
I don't think so. I'm trying to I no, I don't think so. Um not that I can remember to be honest. Maybe I can't remember much is what I'm trying to say.
I love that
um
though.
my favorite one of my favorite moments though, like my one of my little my young not one of my younger sisters, they're all younger than
Yeah.
me, but it was the first time we had gone to the club together, but this girl had been partying all her life, okay? But
Yeah.
my one of my stepsisters, and so she is this tiny 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 little thing, but when she gets out into the world she becomes this like beast, like this monster.
Really?
And so she will just walk through the room, and she like anybody that come near her like a guy, she'd be like put her hand up and be like no, and just keep walking. And I'm like, this is so fun because
What a
she would like
baddie.
don't even try. Yeah, she was
Mm.
just like keep moving. And I'm like, this is the best. But yeah, I don't know. I every single time was just really fun. I don't know.
Mm. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
I appreciate that.
I just every now and then I just feel like we need to just take a trip down the past, you know?
Yeah, there's yeah. Yes.
I feel like I
Yes.
definitely threw my drink at someone once, but I just can't
Oh,
remember why. I did have a friend slap a boy
for you.
for me because he basically was drunk and horny, and I could not have been less interested in him, and he got offended by that. And my friend
Mm.
cracked the shits and she slapped him. And then he started talking shit about me, and my friend slapped him.
Yes.
It was a movie moment. He was just there talking shit and I was just ignoring him and walking away. But she got sassy and she turned around and she was like, "Pow."
Oh, yes.
Mm,
I love
she
here for it.
deserved it. That little fuck needed a few more slaps, to be honest.
Yeah, she should have come back for it for a second one.
100%. It was just a little, that age is just some seedy boys who just like they just want to screw anything that they can get their
Yes.
hands on.
Yeah.
He's not getting any of this. Honestly, my favorite part was like the Macca's trips after and all the like boozy conversations.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Just eating anything you could find. Like,
Anything. Oh my gosh, there was a stage I went through where like back before like I had my time before I became so sensitive to gluten. There was a time
um,
she would get like 3 cheeseburgers and just like slowly eat them on the drive back.
yes. You have to. That's
I
the
have
best part.
to.
That's the best part. Yes.
Yes. But
That's
anyway,
probably
how are
why you
you?
have a gluten intolerance now from all those burgers.
Honestly, that and like growing up in a Croatian household where like we had like stuff like burek, which is like a pastry filled with
Ah.
cheese. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
But I've worked out how to make it without that stretchy like yufka pastry or
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
So I can still make it now. But and just growing up eating like wheat bread every fucking day,
Yes.
it was gonna happen. It was gonna happen. But back to writing things, my friend. How are you
Yeah.
feeling about Comic Con coming up?
I feel I don't know. I feel like all the things. I'm so excited, but then also, you get nervous because I'm just thinking like, okay, I gotta catch the flight, gotta make sure I get there on time. Where do I go?
Mm,
How do I get there? all of those
Yeah, yeah.
things are nerve-wracking. Um, but like I'm pumped. I'm just so excited to
Yeah.
see things. I just want to
Yeah.
see people and costumes and like vendors and not that I'm going to be there very long, but like I just want to like
Oh.
scurry around.
Mm.
Yeah, so I get to yeah, the schedule's busy. Like I get there probably around, knock on wood, no traffic or whatever, by like
Mm.
11, but my panel's at 12.
Yeah.
And it's from 12 to 1 with a bunch of baddies. And then we do a book signing from 1:30 to 2:30, I believe.
Mm.
Um, I don't know what to expect from that. I don't know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if
yeah. It's so hard to know with bookish stuff. Even
yeah.
what I've realized is even the really successful people have days where like only a handful show up, and then days when it's like the line out the door situation. There's just no way to predict it when
Yeah,
people are
I
gonna
have no
like.
idea.
But I'm predicting line out the door for the
Line out the door, the
yes.
longest line in all of Comic-Con history. They're
Yeah.
gonna have to like start, they're gonna have to be like, just come back another day for this.
Yes. Take your podcast stickers.
I shall bring them. I 100% bring them. I will. Um, but no, my panel was put on by Mysterious Galaxy, which is
Oh
a
yeah.
bookstore in San Diego, I believe. So thank you to them for doing this.
Yeah.
But so
Even I know
I have
them.
no idea. Oh, perfect. See?
Yeah, they're bad. They're
Yeah, they're
bad.
batty. So I'm just gonna be out there I'm just gonna be schmoozing and kissing
Mm.
everybody's butts the whole time. That's what my plan is.
Kind of really want you to dress up for Comic-Con. Okay, like
What
if
should I
you,
dress up as?
I don't know, like, do you have a favorite iconic, like, I don't know, superhero or anime character? Or you don't watch anime, so.
Yeah.
Or like a
Captain
book.
Planet
Oh my gosh, if you dress up as Captain Planet,
with the buzz cut.
I I would give anything to see that. And you know what? You would be iconic. You would sell
Yes.
more books than you've ever sold before.
Just like hardcore Captain Planet, just like
Yes. I'm sure you can get a wig. It would be like, or even like, it would be one of those kind of plastic foam things that you just like a hat almost.
yes. That's what I'm going as, everybody, Captain Planet.
Please do it. If I don't see you as Captain Planet at least once in this life, it's not even worth living. The drama.
Who would you dress up as if you went
Oh,
to a big convention?
so hard. There's so many. Oh, shit. Probably an anime character. I would want, for me, it's also like strategic in terms of, and hear me out, because sometimes people dress up as a character and you can't recognize them because
Oh,
their outfit is kind of like, if it's something basic, it's really hard to know who they are. So I would want to be strategic about whatever I chose that it was instantly recognizable. I saw
yes.
this chick on the gram the other day. I fucking nearly fainted over what she had done for Comic-Con. Have you seen Spirited Away?
I've heard of this.
It's one of my favorites. You've got to watch that
Okay.
one. That's a
Okay.
Ghibli one. Anyway, there's this like spider-esque boiler man called Kamaji the Boiler Man, and he lives in the spirit house and he like runs the boiler for the bathhouse. And he has this whole cart with all these herbs that he pulls to do like the scented hot springs and stuff. And yeah, he basically looks like a spider with six arms, and like she made the whole cart that he sits in, like a wagon basically. And then she sits in it and she walks and the wagon like moves along, and made herself all these extra arms and like the full cosplay. I would love to do something that iconic. But that would have taken her years to actually make that outfit. So maybe not.
You could do like a low budget version of it.
Yeah, budget. Actually, I know who I'd go as. I'd go as Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle, because
Yes.
she's my hero. So
Yes. She's an
obviously, I could.
icon.
She's an
She's an
icon.
icon.
She's a legend, and she is the moment.
That's it. That's it right there. Yes. Yes.
But I'm glad you're
Yes.
feeling excited. Like, obviously, there's always those nerves that go with it as well. But I guess you have like the proof of the ones you've done in the past, and you know it's
Yeah.
full on. but you also know you're going to find a way to get through it and then be like, wow, I fucking did that.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm.
I just need to remember to eat and maybe bring some
Yes.
Tums,
And
but eat my
hydrate.
usual stuff, whatever that may be, like a sandwich or something. Get my wheat in there, lots of wheat and gluten.
Yeah, that you
Yeah.
do. You want stuff that's like long, well, I don't know about wheat. Do you do wheat? Yeah, it's your partner who can't eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like some eggs always burn long and they give you everything. Maybe have just eggs and toast is always like solid. With a bit of
Yeah.
wilted spinach on the side, you'll be sweet.
Oh, I love a good wilted spinach.
And have snacks in your bag is what I've learned
Yeah.
because
Oh, that's a good
sometimes
idea.
yeah, because like something like something as basic as breakfast bars has saved me so many times when I've
Yeah.
been like busy and then you because you don't want your blood sugars to drop because you did have that a little bit last time, eh?
I did. Oh my God. That's what I was thinking at
Yeah.
Y'all West. Like by the third panel, I was
Yeah.
out. My brain had stopped. Like mid panel. I
Yeah.
was just like, wait, what is the question? So yeah, snacks are
Yeah,
good.
snack pack. Even on your flight, you should be able to get like a bag of nuts, a cheese and crackers, and like some kind of candy in case you need like a sugar hit. Because yeah,
Yeah. Give me a little
that's
hit.
real. That blood sugar drop like of just exhaustion and not having enough food in you. Is
That's for
yeah,
real.
gotta look after our girl.
We do. We do. What are you up to? What's
Yeah,
the week been like?
she's been revising. Um,
Yes.
not as fast as I wanted, but I'm happy with the progress I'm making. And like, it's funny because actually yesterday I kind of caught myself and I was like, huh, I kind of been beating myself up for not going faster. I think I thought once I like had this task that I would just like bust it out in a week because I was
Yeah.
so excited and whatever. And I am so excited. But I also think I've been doing it long enough to just be like, no, I still want to feed myself. I still want to take my slow walk with my dog. I still want to do all those like self-care things that have made me like get to this point. And so then it's slower, if you break your day up in that way, it's very different to kind of the rabid frenzy riding.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Yesterday I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm not going to keep, I'm like, I'm doing the thing. I'm about 5 chapters through the revision. So like maybe like a quarter of the way through. And yeah, I would like to be doing it faster, but we're picking up. I was also sick for a month, and that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
remind myself. Like when it picks up, it's picking up, and even if it basically if I pick up and I go faster and zoom, awesome. But if I don't, there's like Sandra's not over my head with a stick anyway. She said like maybe by the end of August. So
Oh,
there's ages
perfect.
to go.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's not and even that, she's not putting like a major pressure deadline. It's me. I'm like, I want to have something on submission tomorrow.
Right.
So I'm just like, calm your shit down. Nobody is like putting that pressure on you to do it like immediately. And yeah, just trying to enjoy all the little moments, like, and just like make it feel real. It still feels like a bit surreal and fake that happened, especially because it happened
Mm.
when I was so sick. I'm like,
It's all a fever dream.
is it a fever dream? But no, it was cool. Like, they put me up on their website this week, and I was just like, there she
It's
is.
it. There
And
she is, baby.
yeah,
Looking cute.
very
Yeah.
cute. So just plodding along with that. But I think as well, I know I've got a script that I need to write for Gobsmacked. So I know that's coming up too. So that's probably why I just like want to stay on track, not get too sidetracked.
Look at
And
her. She is working,
she's
everyone.
working.
She is
Ideally,
working.
ideally, I'd like to have this revision done like in the next couple weeks and then have a revision done on the Swamp Princess, the middle grade, because I'd
Yeah.
love to get them both out on sub whenever Sandra's ready to send it.
Yes. Oh, she is a bad bitch. She's just out here writing things, revising things. She's just staying busy. Yes, I love
Yes.
it. And I love it. I love that you are conscious of taking your time and feeding the well, feeding the body,
Mm,
the soul, all of it. It's like you're listening to advice you would give to a friend and
that's it,
treating
eh?
yourself like that. Yeah. I think that's
It's a
great.
nice thing that I realize at the moment. Like when I start to gaslight myself, I catch it and I'll be like,
Mm,
why are you the one beating yourself up about this and holding yourself to this invisible standard of what? Like what?
yeah.
What's gonna happen if I get it done a week earlier? Is Are the heavens gonna open and
Right.
like the spiritual realm will applaud? No one's gonna give a fuck. So why like hold myself to this extra? It's like when people rush on the highway, right? Even if you're going like 20 kilometers more, you're only going to get to your destination 1 minute earlier or something. It's something stupid, like
Yeah.
rushing that extra 10 Ks or whatever. It doesn't actually get you there much faster.
It
So I'm trying to
doesn't.
keep
And
that
yeah.
philosophy and yeah, just be gentle with myself because it's a lot. It's a big change. It's like
Yeah.
both this huge change and then not. But I also see we have 3 minutes, so we better read
Yes.
Keisha's
Yeah.
bio
Yeah.
before I go on another side quest. Do you have it in front of you?
I do. Do
Yeah,
you want
off
me to
you
read
go.
it?
Off you go.
Okay.
Because I've got lose
Off
phone
you
or
go.
explosive diarrhea in front of me.
Okay, yeah. Here's Keish was born in Kuala Lumpur. Oh shit. What is it?
Just say
Well,
it fast, Kuala Lumpur.
okay. Keish was born in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and migrated to Australia when she was 2 years old. She currently lives in Naarm, Melbourne.
Yeah.
Okay. With her,
Like you haven't said Melbourne 100 times.
I
Why are
got in
you
my head about it the
you
other day because I
did?
was like, is it Melbourne or Melbourne? But it's Melbourne. Anyway, sorry. She currently lives in Naarm, Melbourne, with her partner, two kids, and an ice cream obsessed cat named Wasabi. She won a 2020 Rito Prize, the 2021 Yara Literature Prize, the 2021 Rachel Funari Prize for Fiction, the 2022 Victorian Premier's Literary Awards Prize for an
Damn,
unpublished manuscript, and
that's
the
big.
2023 Uncharted Magazine Thrilling Contest. Damn. Her
Damn.
debut novel, The Girl with No Reflection, will be out in 2024 with Delcourt Press from Penguin Random House. She's a
Mm.
baddie.
She's
She a
such a
baddie.
baddie. I didn't realize she won that prize. That's like one of our biggest ones, the premier.
Wow.
Mm.
Well,
Amazing.
damn.
I'm not surprised though, when you talk to her, she's just like a creative genius, eh? Did you get
Yeah,
that
she
feeling
gives
as
off,
well?
she
The hands in the
100%.
box from high school were just like the start. But then I feel like when we read her book, it's going to be so seamlessly woven,
Oh
all the
man, I'm
threads.
pumped for it,
It
honestly.
sounds so fucking good.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Keshe Chow, man, she's killing it. I'm so pumped.
yes. And she's one of ours, and I'm so proud and like so excited that I can go to her book launch. So, yes.
Yay. Book launch. No pooping at the book launch.
No, poop before. I tend to do a nervous poop before events. I'm often do like a little like a poop before we record.
Well, good. Now I know she's freshly
She's
friggin'
freshly
she's freshly
cleansed.
emptied out. Yeah, she's cleansed.
I'm just over here cleansing my cloaca and living my best anxious co-host life. I also just tend to hide in toilets before events and just have a moment when like no one can see you, you know?
Yeah. Thank
So
God for
sometimes,
toilets.
yeah, sometimes a little poop decides to, you know,
If it just happens to come out, it's fine.
it's like we're here, we might as well, you know?
Hi, how are you? Nice to
Hello.
see you.
Nice to
Great to
see
see
you.
you. It's so fun to have you on and get some Aussies on the show. I
Aussie
love it.
representation. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, like, I was sitting here in my like puffer jacket, and because it's been so
Uh,
cold. But yeah, I was like, I'll take it off so I don't like look like a total freak.
I'm jealous seeing you in like sleeves and a jacket. We're dying
Oh,
over here. We're hot. We're
yeah. So
melting.
I hear. Yes, so I hear. You're melting in like more ways than one.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah.
just in life
Yes.
and in weather, we're just melting
Yes.
away.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
want to
Yes.
hug America at the moment. I
I
just
know.
want to like
I
cyber
know.
hug all of my friends and
Yes.
just like
Yes.
pat their
Come to us.
foreheads.
Yeah. Yeah. Our stuff is not that, like, we don't have that, and animals aren't really that dangerous. Just come in. We'll have you.
Yeah, I could see it. The only thing I think would be the spiders. The only
Mm,
thing,
yeah.
I don't know if I could handle, but everything
Could
else I think I
handle
can handle.
you handle mountain lions.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
You don't
true.
actually see them that much. Like they're sort of like not really, unless you live in Sydney, I think.
Or the bush.
Ah,
If you live
interesting.
out like in the
Yeah.
countryside, you're gonna have them in like everything. Like
Yeah,
that's fact.
in the city we're pretty insulated. Like we don't get spiders that often.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
now I shall come.
yeah.
I'll
Amazing.
avoid the bush,
Yeah.
big time.
Well, we're
Well,
so
well,
glad to have you on. And yeah, it's so fun because I saw you at Paula's event the other day and like
Yes,
so
yes.
fun to have on people that I actually have met in person.
Yeah,
So it's very
yeah,
full
that was a
circle.
great event.
Yes, and we
Yeah,
love
yeah,
Paula. So I mean, why don't
yes.
you, for our listeners who don't know you, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I'm Keshe Chow. I'm obviously from Australia, as you can tell from my accent, but I was actually born in Malaysia. I migrated here when I was two. In my other life, I'm actually a cat vet. So my whole life is basically books and cats, which and my kids kind of, which I kind of like. So yeah, it's a good balance.
I love
Yes.
that. Yeah, I
Uh,
I'm here for it.
yeah,
100%.
100%. Cats plural.
Yeah, well, I actually only have one cat now, because our other one passed away about a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
But she's very cute. She's a rag doll. She's a princess. She came from very dubious origins, which I don't think we've got time to go into where she came from. But she thinks that she's above us all now. So yeah, she's the typical cat. She
I
she's
love
very cute.
a sassy cat. Like in particular, the cats that really and truly are just they're just the queens and kings.
Yeah.
Like they really own it. I love those kind of cats in particular. Like,
Yeah, totally. I mean, you know that if they give you the time of day, that you're really worthwhile. So
isn't that funny how cats are though? Like when they do decide to grace you with their presence and you're like, oh, thank
I
you.
know you feel so privileged, right? It's like yeah, it's like you've been blessed.
Yes.
You're a chosen
Yeah, I
one.
long to be a cat in that respect. You know what I mean? Like I can just like I don't have to be there often, but if I come into a room, people are like, oh, "So happy to see
Yes,
you.
yes.
Mm.
Thank you." And
And
then
then
I
you
can
can
just
call it at any time. You can be like, all right, I've had enough now.
yeah, just slink
I mean,
away.
That's the dream.
I'm
Some
like that
people
in real
achieve
life.
that though. I do
Yes,
feel like
yes,
you
it's
meet
true.
some people and they're able to just waft into the room, bless you with their presence, and then disappear. That is goals.
Yes, I basically just do the disappearing most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Yeah, we haven't mastered the, blessing of the presence,
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
slowly
yeah, yeah,
disappearing. Yeah,
yeah.
I feel
Just
that.
hiding in the corner, hiding under the bed.
I feel that. I really do. Oh, well, okay, we're gonna ask one of our favorite fun questions, which is a random question, which is what is the strangest thing that you own?
Okay, so I had to think about this one. I had to think about this one quite a lot because I've moved around a lot. So I've shed like a lot of stuff as I've been on my travels and moved between cities and things and
Mm.
countries. But so this is technically not something that's at my house, but it's mine, and it's still at my parents' house. But it's like a high school art project that I did, and basically it's like a big box of hands. And so I
What?
did ceramics I did sculpture when I was in high school, and I was really into it. And one of my final projects for back then it was BCE. Mel, I don't know if you're
Yeah.
of the same vintage as me, but we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
BCE, and I did BCE art, and one of my projects was about perceptions of people. So I basically molded a lot of different hands in clay, and I made them, some with like long fingers, some with like press on nails, some with like lots of wrinkles, others with like smooth, like baby hands, all these sort of things. And then I just like displayed them all, and then I made like little objects that were like just random things. So I don't know, there was probably like a donut or thing out of clay, and a bunch of other little things. And then I had them all set out and on display, and then like the viewer, so the person who was looking at the exhibition, I suppose, was supposed to like come along and like match the objects to the hands. And so it was about sort of like your perceptions of people and how they change according to the viewer. So it's kind of like an interactive exhibition. And everyone kept on asking me like, what's the right answer? I'm like, there is no right answer. Like, this is literally about your own perception and how it changes. And I think that kind of like carries on into kind of like some of my writing, in that I do write a lot about identities and mistaken identities and perceptions, and how the differences between, say, like the hero and the villain depends on like which perspective you're coming from. So yeah, I think all of that sort of stuff started quite early, but then now I've just got this like box of hand and I don't know what to do with it. My parents are always like, what do you want to do with this? I'm like, well, it's part of my life, so I can't just like throw it in the trash. But then like, what do you do with a big box of hands? Anyway, so that's the weirdest
Definitely
thing.
keep. Definitely keep. That sounds really amazing. Like, I feel like even the actual galleries don't have stuff that cool sometimes. Sorry, that's my dog.
No,
Bless.
truly, like that, honestly, it sounds like such a like
Mm.
deep presentation. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's so
yeah, it
much
was
thought
fun.
that I love
Yeah,
that.
it was a lot of fun to make. And I mean, I love sculpture. It's just like never something, it's kind of hard to carry on in your adult life because it's very like equipment heavy, like the clay, the kilns to fire things. And like it was fun to do when I was in school and I had like access to all this stuff, but I sort of haven't carried it on. But yeah, it was like a golden part of my life. I loved art so much. I did studio art. So
You need to get yourself just some of those little office works clays, because you can just cook them in your oven. And then when you have the
yeah,
itch to
yeah.
make something, because I do that sometimes, make little earrings, and then I just bake it, make and bake.
Oh, cute, cute. Yes, I should do that. I should do that.
You
We
should.
need
I
more
love
of
that.
your art. It sounds incredible.
Yeah, I channel
Really.
them now in different ways, obviously.
That's so
Yeah.
neat. Now, did you were kind of mentioning this, like it bleeds into being an author, being a writer, a storyteller. Did you know you always wanted to be a writer growing up?
So I mean, I think like everyone who ended up a writer as an adult, I wrote a lot as a child. So I did sort of like write lots of stories. I was always writing. I had to go to my parents' work like every school holiday, just because that's my life growing up. And I did like I used to write like a typewriter there. And used to sort of like, handwrite stories as well. And I entered like competitions as well as a kid. And I always came second. I never came first as a kid. Um, and yeah, so kind of like I knew I loved writing, and it was always something that was commented on. So like teachers would be like, "Oh, you're a really good writer," but I never sort of considered it as a viable career path. And I think this is probably very typical, particularly of people who, are of like my ethnicity, and also my parents, they worked in factories, so it was kind of like never like their pathway, their idea of like a I guess a viable job was always like something that was like guaranteed an income, and it was always like be a doctor basically, like my brother and my sister, they're both doctors. And so yeah, it wasn't really something that occurred to me that I could do, but I always sort of like had ideas rolling around in my brain. I would scribble them down on notebooks every now and then, and I never sort of really thought I'm going to commit to actually writing a book until like about 4 years ago now. And then I was like, I'd done all this stuff. I basically had like, become a vet. I'd like gotten my master's degree. I'd specialized in cats. I'd opened a business. I'd sold out of the business. I'd like done everything that like I possibly could to fulfill that sort of like idea of a proper career. That's not creative. And then I was like, look, I'm just gonna fuck it. I'm just gonna write a book. So I did, and then that's when it all kind of started. And I think I always like wanted to do something creative, and it just wasn't really on the cards because you know what it's like. Your parents are just like, yeah, no, just do it as a hobby.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
100%.
that's
It's really
basically it.
hard to break through. What do you think it was that was kind of like the final push for you to take that step?
I think it was literally just that I had done everything I had gotten as far in my other career as I possibly could. Like it was kind of like short of doing a PhD, which after I did my master's, which had a research component, I was like, I'm like never doing that again. I was like saying to my partner back then, he's my husband now, I was like, if I ever talk about doing a PhD, like slap me, literally. Like, you know, just remind me of what I said. Like I'm never gonna do like any research based like you know, degree again. Yeah, so I kind of like gotten as far as I could and I'd done everything. And then I was kind of like, well, you know, I always had book ideas and I always wanted to write. Like, why don't I just do it now? My kids were also quite little. So I had a baby at the time and like a toddler. And so, not that that gives you extra time, it actually gives you a lot less time, but I was often like up in the middle of the night, you know, nursing or whatever. And I'd be like jotting down things on my phone. I did a lot of writing overnight basically with my toddler and baby in the bed with me and stuff. Yeah, so it was a funny time. Sometimes I would write at a standing desk and like have one of them napping and my older child like on the iPad maybe writing. So yeah, I kind of just I don't know what I switched. I think it was just that it was just felt like the right time. It felt like it was kind of like I'd done everything. It was now or never. I just dive into it and see what happens. And if I felt like if I didn't sort of give it a go, then I would regret it later, kind of thing.
And you did. And now here you are, you know, getting to celebrate a beautiful book coming out. Like, can you tell us a little bit about your publishing journey? So, you know, you wrote the book, did you query? Like, tell us a little bit about, you know, the story to here we are now.
Yeah. So I mean it's been relatively smooth, though I did put in my hard yards in the beginning because you know, I wrote a lot in high school and I was really into creative writing then and I had an amazing English teacher who also mentored me in that regard. But then I took sort of, you know, more than a decade away from any creative writing. I was purely academic writing. So I was like writing yeah, basically like theses and all theses? Is that what you call it? Theses? I'm like, I know English.
That's a good question. I have no clue. I have no clue.
And I was writing you know, papers for scientific journals and things, and like the way that you write academically, I don't know if you guys have ever written academic writing, but it's completely different. It's extremely passive. Scientific writing is also very circumspect, like nothing is ever definite. So I had developed a very like passive, dry academic voice. And so my first attempts at fiction writing again after being away from it for so long and being immersed in academic writing were awful. Like they were so bad. And so I sort of just started writing and I started writing a book which was like my book idea that had been rattling in my brain for like a long time. And I started writing that and I got sort of like I don't know, it was probably like 20,000 words in, and I read it over and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. It's so derivative. It's like really dry. It's really boring. So I was like, hey, scrap that. I'm going to start something new. And so I wrote a whole book, and it was actually before I knew much about genres. So I was very much like, I read very widely in different genres, and I didn't really have any idea about writing to market at that stage because I was like brand new to the book world and publishing world. So I wrote something that was like a mishmash. I didn't even know how to pitch it. It was like the speculative sci-fi thriller thing that kind of doesn't really, and it had a lot of romance in it because everything I write has lots of romance in it. So it kind of like didn't really fit any box. And I started querying that in late 2020. And I learned all about how to query and everything like that. And I wrote a good query letter and all that sort of stuff. But I think it just wasn't like clear enough where it would fit in the market. And I did end up having quite a few sort of like nibbles. I had like a couple of agent requests and I had two publisher R&Rs through sort of like mid-sized independent publishers that accept sort of like unagented submissions. So I did sort of get people who were like, we can see potential in this, but like it just doesn't quite, we just don't know what to do with it. And then I had the R&Rs sort of, you know, give me some guidance and stuff. But it kind of got to the stage where I'd worked it over and over again, and I had so many beta. I had probably like more than 20 beta readers for this book, just because I was so new to writing, and I learned a lot from them, you know, about how to make my writing more active, and you know, a lot of stuff about, you know, what makes a good book, basically. And yeah, and in the end, it just sort of ended up. I'd worked it over so much that I just fell out of love with it. And I was like, I don't want this to be like the first book I put out in the world. So I left that, shelved it after about 50 queries. And then I wrote a middle grade book that was just like a fun one that I ended up not doing anything with because again, I was kind of like middle grade. I mean, I love middle grade books. Obviously, like we all grew up reading them, but it's just not where I saw myself staying. Like I didn't want to be a middle grade writer. I really admire middle grade writers. I just it's not sort of like what I read generally. So I didn't see myself as like debuting in that area and then sticking with it. So then I got the idea for this book, which was originally called Fauna of Mirrors, which is after kind of the original short story it was based on. And I was just like, oh, I feel like this is the premise. Like this is what I want to debut with. So I wrote it. It took about 3 months to write. I think I did most of it at night, scaring myself a lot in the process. And then I did a few rounds of beta reads, which took another maybe month or two. I can't remember. It was a while ago now. And then I queried it, and I queried it for 3 months around about. So everything was like 3 months, and then signed with my agent in late 2021. And then there was a long period of revisions with her, and then we went on sub in mid 2022, and then about sort of 5.5, 6 weeks later, I had my first editor email for a call. So it kind of went very smoothly. So submission went very smoothly, and querying went relatively smoothly as well. I would say this particular book, but I had sort of unsuccessfully queried another book, so it was kind of like that was the trial run. And then yeah, I think that's often the case that you don't intend to sign or debut with the first book that you write. Yeah, so that's kind
What
of
a
the journey.
journey. Honestly, listening to you, I'm just like, yeah, like it just reminds me why I love doing this podcast so much. I feel like I can never have enough of a reminder how much grit and like just persistence and dedication it takes to like get anywhere with this, you know? Like your
Yeah.
story is so like it's long. It's like you've come from like a lot like ages like dreaming about this, then like actually dipping
Yes.
your toe in. And I
Yeah.
think we've all got one of those like write-off books that's like, what even was it? Because if
Yeah.
unless like some people do actually, you know, go to uni for this or whatever, but it is rare. Most of us are pursuing a real job at the time and like
Yes.
having to do it on the side. So yeah, like you educate yourself in like the back alleys of the internet and it's
Yeah,
not
totally.
always
Yes.
good. It's not always
No, that's so true. But I do have a lot to owe for those early beta readers who sometimes were very harsh. Like I remember one of my early beta readers was like, "Do you know what an idiot ball is?" And I was like, I do not. And he was like, "It's just when you basically make one of your characters such an idiot that they have to have everything explained to them." And I was like, oh, okay, yes, I do get what you mean. And I could think I just like, I figured that out as a way of like info dumping or, doing exposition that like someone was just like so like clueless that they just needed everything completely spelled out to them. And he was like, you really can't make the main character like the one who holds the idiot ball. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
That's
So
actually good.
yeah.
I like that actually. I could have used that advice early on. I think I used to make all my
Yeah,
main
yeah,
characters hold the idiot ball for sure.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, I still make my main characters make very bad decisions and
Mm,
questionable decisions at times because I think, I don't know. I'm not a perfect person myself. I make a lot of bad decisions. And yeah, I guess maybe I just like to read and write about characters who make bad decisions to justify
mm.
my own bad decisions.
There you go. Yeah.
I feel
That's it.
validated. I'm not the only one who's like this. But yeah.
But true, I mean, truly, those are like the funnest characters to read about because it makes them so much more dynamic because they feel real
Flawed. Yes,
and
yes,
like honest. And
yeah,
none of us are perfect. And if we all were, it'd be so boring. Life would
yes,
be so boring. And if we
yeah,
were
it
all
would
just
be.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true.
But
Yeah.
seriously, shout out to beta readers though, because
Yeah.
good. I mean, I think of my early days too. I knew nothing. I mean, I'm still learning, damn it. But like, had people not been patient with me and like and tried to just explain, sometimes you get some really rude people, And
Yeah.
obviously you just learn and don't work with them again and be on your merry way. But there's some people that are so far ahead of you in the game. And
Yeah.
then but they're willing to take time and read your stuff and give you tips. And it's priceless. So
Yes.
shout out to
Yes.
beta readers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Was there anything that surprised you about publishing?
Um,
Mm.
Look, I think probably the thing that surprised me most about the industry is that I feel like as authors, we're often like the last to know things, you know? Like
Yeah.
I I mean, I've been part of like the debut group Slack. We've got a Slack group for 2024 debuts. And the number of us who found out like our release date from like seeing it online, like from Googling, it's just
Wow.
like wild, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's just such a big machine, especially
Mm.
when you're in Big Five, because like I just was not prepared for like how huge Penguin Random House was. Like, and I know and you're with PRH as well. Um, and it's kind of like I'll ask my editor something, and she's like, "Okay, I'll ask this department that question, and then this department that question, and I'll ask this department to then ask that department that question." It's like this enormous, like, yeah, multi-headed beast that
Yeah.
they, yeah, it's just huge. It's a huge machine, and so I think like it's not that they specifically like choose to not tell us things. It's just that we
Mm.
kind of get lost amongst all of this like communication that's really happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. And then yeah, often it's kind of like, oh yeah, we better tell the author that.
Yep. Yep. That's real. That's honest.
Yes.
Like I
Yes.
know I'll have a question and I'll email my editor something. And then it takes maybe a day or two for her to even email me back.
Mm.
And before I'd be like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have asked a question. But now I know, no, she's just asking them.
Just
And then
chasing
she's
things
got to
down.
wait. And
Yeah.
so she
Yeah.
usually comes back with an answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so many moving parts. And
So many
the
moving parts.
editors are just doing everything.
They are
Everybody's
doing
doing
so much.
everything. It's just so
Yes,
much.
yes. They're juggling so many balls, and so that's why I know begrudge, them, especially my editor is amazing. Like I just cannot sing her praises highly enough. She's always just so transparent and patient with me and answers my questions to the best of her abilities or follows up for me. Um, but yeah, I mean, they are just so busy. And so I'm always kind of like, I just feel really bad asking questions. But then at the same time, like, we've never done this before. It's kind of like, as a vet, you have to remember that, like, even though, the cat I'm seeing is like, the 10th cat I'm seeing that day with the same problem or whatever, or I'm admitting it for like a procedure or whatever. It's like the first time for the owner. Like, and I had to always remind myself that I'm like, okay, this owner has never been through this process before. They've got a cat that's being desexed or something, and they've never had an animal undergo anesthesia, even though it's something that I do every day. So I had to kind of always remember that. And I think it's kind of like a similar situation in that in publishing, like this is their bread and butter. They do this every day. They know all the different steps involved
Mm.
and things. But then as debut authors, we come in and we're so completely clueless. And I would consider myself someone who knows more probably than some debuts would, because I had friends who'd been through the process before that were very, very transparent. I'm friends with Scott and Sunny from publishing rodeo, so I knew a lot about the process from them because they're very, very open about all the bits that are involved in publishing. And so all that stuff from pub radio I heard like actually before, which kind of, I mean, that's good and bad, because you go into things with zero expectations. um
Mm.
but yeah, I think that it's still just like there's so much that even I didn't know, even though I had friends who'd done it before. And so, whereas I think from their point of view, they're like, well, this is just an everyday thing. This is like, not something
Mm.
that is confusing. Yeah. So there was a lot of
I
that.
love that. I love that way of thinking about it. It also like softens the blow when you get like kind of, because yeah, like it's such a good example actually being like a busy vet. Like if somebody comes in and you're time pressed, you might not have the bandwidth as well to give them the full gentle experience, and that's also the
Yeah.
realities of businesses. I think from both ends, it's like a good way to frame it. Remembering to like be gentle because, you know, it
Yeah.
might just be a little zygote just coming in for the first time. And yeah, and also
Totally.
knowing sometimes
Publishing Zygo.
it's not personal as well. Sometimes it's
No,
just
no.
the hecticness of business. But I want to hear
Yeah.
more about your amazing book, The Girl with No
Okay.
Reflection, which is out very
Mhm.
soon. What date are we talking again?
6th of August in the US and Australia, and then the 8th in the UK and
Yep.
some other places later. I think Italy's like November, and I haven't heard from all the other foreign
Yeah.
publishers, which again I think is not uncommon. Um, yeah, so it's 2 weeks now, and I guess yeah, this book is a young adult fantasy, but again, I'm not very capable of like sticking to one lane genre wise. So,
Hmm.
it's heavy on the romance. There's horror elements. I tend to write things that can skew quite dark in both my short fiction and my novels. So yeah, it's basically it's Chinese mythology inspired, and it's about a mirror world where the reflections are not actually reflections, but they're sentient creatures, and they've been cursed to mimic us. And over time, the curse is worn off, so they've become like a little bit angry and resentful, and they're biding their time, waiting to come out and emerge and attack us and take our places. And my main character basically has to close the barrier between the real world and the mirror world, but she ends up meeting one of the reflections, and there's a little romance between them. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. I am not mad at this plot. I
No.
am not mad. Oh my God, I love this. Like, what inspired? I know you mentioned the mythology, but like what inspired just tell
The
me
initial
more.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a real scaredy cat, like when it comes to supernatural stuff, and mirrors have always been something that have super scared me. So when I was a kid, I was told the Bloody Mary myth, and I still do not look into mirrors at night ever, like ever. I will like avert my eyes, or I'll turn the light on and all that sort of stuff. And so I actually sort of, when I was trying to brainstorm like a book idea, I was like, oh, something about mirrors would be really good. And I actually used to write like sort of really micro fiction on Twitter, just as part of like the prompts and things, and I did sort of like a first chapter as well for another thing that I applied for. So I actually came up with the initial scene to begin with, which was like when you're looking in a mirror and then the reflection does something and you're not doing that thing, and I was like, oh, that's like really creepy. So I came up with that initial scene of like looking into your reflection in the water and then the reflection smiling and you're not smiling. And so
Oh
that
my
was sort of like the
gosh.
initial thing I had in my mind. And then I went looking for mirror myths, and I found this short story, which actually was also called Fauna of Mirrors, and I always probably pronouncing this very wrong, Jorge Luis Borges. So this like short story writer, and from I don't know mid-century, mid last century, and he'd written this story, short story, basically about this premise where the reflections were cursed to mimic us, but then the curse is wearing off, and they're going to come out at some stage and burst out of the mirrors and then like basically replace us. Um, and apparently, according to his short story, he had heard that idea from his trip to China. So it was kind of like supposedly rooted in Chinese mythology. Although when historians and stuff have gone back to like look for the original like idea, they haven't really found anything. So who knows? I mean, like, he might have been taking some creative license there. But anyway, so I read that short story and I was kind of like, oh, that is exactly the kind of story that I want to tell, and I want to make it into a novel. So I expanded it on it and incorporated sort of a bunch of different Chinese myths. So there's the goddess and archer myth. There's also the carp turning into dragon myth. There's a few other sort of like myths like three-legged crows, which I turned into fire crows. I didn't want to sort of like directly pull from it because it can be a bit sensitive to kind of take things directly and turn them into like baddies. So I sort of like changed it and incorporated lots of things from different myths into kind of my book and spun them to make it my own. And I also took sort of lots of inspiration from imperial China. Again, not sort of like being rigid about sticking to like one period of history or anything. I just basically took whatever I wanted, like bits and pieces from anything, and mashed it all up, took a bunch of genres, mashed them all up, and then spat out this book. So it's kind of like a real mashup of like everything that I love. And yeah, so I hope that people will like that too. They'll either love it or hate it.
I'm excited. I am pumped for this. Yes. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Is there anything you wish readers knew before they opened the book?
I mean, not really. I think just I think that people who are familiar with some of the mythology might get a little bit more out of it because they'll recognize some of it. So as part of like my pre-order campaign, I'm giving people a little sort of summary of specifically the moon goddess and the Archimith, which is probably the biggest one that's woven through the whole story. Um, just so that they can kind of draw comparisons. But there's also a lot of other little myths that I've kind of put in. And I think if you're not familiar with that, it can probably be like, oh, that came out of like left of center, like that came out of nowhere, but it's actually sort of rooted in mythology. So I think people who are familiar with sort of like, especially some of the more obscure Chinese myths, might get more out of it than someone who does no idea about any of that. But yeah, I mean, like, I hope that people who aren't familiar with it, like, I don't want anyone to have to like go and like do research or do a dissertation or anything to read the book. I hope it's explained well enough that it kind of still, you can enjoy it without being familiar with those. I just think that if you know, you probably will get more out of it. And there's little things like, for instance, my main character's name means moon reflected on the water, and so I had a lot of imagery of the moon, and the book actually opens with her looking at her reflection in the water. So her name is Moon, and she's looking at herself reflected in the water. And I've put in that her face was like pale and moon-like, and it's nighttime, and so the stars, and it's just like the atmosphere is supposed to be there. But yeah, it's just kind of there's lots of little things that, and I think in Chinese language, names are extremely significant. So again, if like you're familiar with like the meanings of the names, then there'll be more sort of things you can that would be you'll be able to read more deeply into the text basically, but you can still enjoy it without knowing any of that stuff too. So yeah, so that's basically the only things.
I'm pretty sure I have a crush on your book right now. Like it just sounds so every part is like speaking to me deeply. I cannot wait to read it. And yeah. Are you having a launch in Melbourne?
Yes, I am actually. Yeah, I have. I'll forward you the details. It's on the 8th of August, and then I'm going to Sydney on the 15th of August. So yes,
Exciting.
It's happening.
I know,
That's so
I know. It's
amazing.
terrifying. Yeah, it's
Yes.
amazing and terrifying. I
Yes,
know.
it's all the things, all the things. Well,
Yes.
real quick, I know we have 3 minutes left on our
Yeah.
little timer here, but looking back at all you've accomplished, what advice would you give a younger version of yourself before you started this journey?
Oh, I mean, I think that it's advice that I took, but basically just like find people that you can be supported by. So other writers, I think like having your little group of people who can cheer you on and commiserate, because it's like it's the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. It's the industry that sort of like as soon as you have something good, something else will come along and knock you down. So you need those people who really understand what it's like to be in publishing, and who are just your support network. So that's my number one piece of advice: just find your people.
Yes.
That's it.
100%. It really is a game changer once you find that community who like want to see you succeed. It's so different.
Yes. Yeah, massively so.
Yeah.
100%. Well, we're now part of that community for you.
Yes.
We are so
Thank
excited.
you.
No, truly,
Thank
I
you.
cannot wait for my copy to come because I am pumped about this story. So I
That's
truly
so kind.
wish you all the
You.
best.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
Of
yeah. No, it's our
course.
pleasure. Our pleasure.
Our pleasure. And I will be there with bells on to celebrate with you as well.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. And I followed you for a while, Angela, on social media. I just love your content. It's so funny.
Oh. Well, I
you're a
thank you.
gem.
I appreciate it. No, and I love it. I love being on here and like you said, like building the community because truly like it's how we survive this.
It is. It's the only thing that sort of gets you through sometimes is the people that you're with. So yeah.
That's it. That's it right there. Well, again, we're so excited for you. Okay, I see we have 1 minute. So let me just ask, what is next for you after this?
So my next YA fantasy book, For No Mortal Creature, comes out in 2025. So I'm working on edits for that at the moment. And that's basically also based on Chinese folklore where ghosts can die and then become like the ghost of a ghost. So I call it my Inception with Ghosts book. So it's kind of
Ah,
like ghosts can keep on dying and then become ghosts of ghosts. And it's kind of like afterlife goes so deeply. And it's like, how deep does it go? No one knows because no one's ever come back except for my main character.
ooh,
So yeah, so that's it's again, it's very, I think it's even darker than this one. So yeah.
oh my God. Okay. So excited. Ready to read that one too. 2025. Here we come.
Yes.
Well,
Title
thank you so
slam
much for
dunk.
joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one comes from Wuthering Heights actually, because it's also Wuthering Heights inspired. I'm a huge
Oh my
Bronte.
God. I love that. Well, it's going to cut us off at any second. So just want to say
Okay.
thank you for joining us. It's such a
Yeah.
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you. It's so lovely to chat to you guys in person. Well,
Yeah.
like digitally in
Ye-
person. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure we'll see each other around. So thank you.
Yes.
Yes, we
Have the
will.
best time at launch. Seriously.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll
Yes.
see you soon, Mel. And yeah,
Yeah.
see you around and on
Yeah.
social media.
Woohoo.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.